Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Friday afternoon. Dabo Swinney, the Clemson Tigers, they land another commitment in the 2026 class. And I'll just start with this. This Clemson class in 2026, a lot of noise around Clemson, what they're doing in terms of talent acquisition. This 2026 class has the chance to be a very good class for Clemson. Four-star wide receiver Gordon Sellars committing to Clemson. This wide receiver class for Clemson in 2026 is going to be really good. Naheem Burrows, Connor Salmon, now Gordon Sellars, three blue chip wide receivers that all do some different things. And when you talk about Gordon Sellars, it starts with the size speed combination, right? 6'2", buck 85, a guy that can win vertically down the football field. You love the size and speed profile. That's where it starts. Where I think this kid really separates and really becomes one of my favorite wide receivers in the 2026 cycle is what he does with the football in the air. It's one thing to be big and fast, but when that football's in the air, you coming down with it more times than not. The body control, the coordination, the physicality at the catch point, it's all there for Gordon Sellers. And we saw this Clemson offense really get unlocked because they could push the ball down the field in the 2024 year. This is another wide receiver that is going to be a vertical threat for Clemson over the next couple of years. I love what they're doing with this young wide receiver. I think a lot of Clemson fans probably feel the same way. Want to get into Gordon Sellers, talk about where Clemson is going on the recruiting trail, where I get it's been a quiet last couple of weeks. I think in the next month it's going to start ramping back up again. Before we get into it, as always, the Clemson fans, appreciate you guys and the amount of support that the Clemson fans have shown the boys, not only as we've talked the recruiting trail, but talk spring practice. It really has been a blast talking this program. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Gordon Sellars. And big body with ball skills that runs real fast. That's where it starts. Really smooth athlete as well. And you go back to a guy like Adam Randall. And look, I think we're all excited about Adam Randall making the transition to the running back position. And this is not necessarily meant to be a knock on Adam Randall, but sometimes it felt like Adam Randall at times was just really big and really fast. The ball skills, how much separation he could create, probably left a little bit to be desired at the wide receiver position. Gordon Sellers might not be as big as a guy like Adam Randall, but Gordon Sellers is a very smooth route runner, knows how to create some separation, knows how to play the football in the air. This is a guy that I think blends really, really desirable athletic traits, the size and the speed, along with being a really good football player. The last thing I'll say here, and this is something that I think is sneaky important to Clemson. Might not be sneaky important to a lot of other programs, but to Clemson it is. I don't even think it's sneaky. Hey, we got to get guys that fit what we want to do as a program, as a culture. I'm not going to pretend to know Gordon Sellers real well. The dude seems like he's a Clemson Tiger, which, Clemson really does care about when they're recruiting kids at the high school ranks. Getting into the film, it's a really fun film study to watch because you see him do a lot of really exciting things. I think what stands out first is just the ball skills that he has vertically down the field. They ain't no 50-50 balls with Gordon Sellers. Two things you're going to notice here. One, the body control and coordination. And you see that all over the film. That just ain't no flashy play. When that football's in the air, Gordon Sellers is very comfortable going up and making plays on the football. There's no track and field times on Gordon Sellers. I don't need track and field times to tell me this kid can run. Like, he's got some vertical speed that you like a lot. Again, whether it's contested catches, whether it's adjusting to the football in the air, Gordon Sellers can really do it all. And kind of a caveat as a Michigan fan: one, bummed he ain't going to Michigan. Fired up for the Clemson fans, though. Number two, I knew this kid before he kind of emerged because, Michigan's quarterback, Jaden Davis, who Michigan landed in the 2024 cycle, was throwing him the football. And I'm going back watching Jaden Davis last year when Gordon Sellers was a sophomore and say, who's that cat that's working and winning vertically down the field? And so Gordon Sellers has been doing it at Providence Day. Big body that works fast. And as you get a little bit more into it, you see some other things that you like. How about yards after the catch ability? He's big and fast, but he's also hard to bring down, man. I mean, you see a lot of defensive backs struggle with the bigger frame that Gordon Sellars has. He can make people miss in space. Multidimensional guy that can win in a lot of different ways. And that's kind of what you're looking for if you're Clemson. Setting up on the route. And again, when that football is in the air, we coming down with it. We're tracking the football the right way. You see him work the middle of the field at times too, which I think is intriguing. A lot of different ways that I think Gordon Sellars can win. Now, and look how smooth. I mean, like natural pass catcher is probably another thing you'd say. Like, does not use his body very often, knows how to hands catch it, very, very smooth. Clemson in 2026. This is their 14th commitment, top 3 class in the country. This is what fires me up the most. This visit weekend late in May. We saw this happen in the spring visit weekend, and we just saw the commitment start to rattle off. Now Clemson has some momentum, not only on the recruiting trail, but on the football field too. This is going to be one of the best teams in the country. Look at all the talent that is going to be on campus for Clemson late in May. We saw a lot of commitments come out of that visit weekend a month ago. We're going to see, I think, the same exact thing. You're talking about 5-star wide receiver Sedarian Morgan, one of the top offensive linemen in the country, Darius Gray. Bryce Perry Wright is a guy that Clemson arguably leads for. You start scrolling down this list, I mean, it is blue chip city coming to Clemson late in May, and I would expect a decent amount of commitments coming out of this weekend as well. If you're a Clemson fan, that there was a lot of noise in the national media about, is Clemson adjusting to the modern era of college football? And I think with the Nico situation being as public as it was, people are now looking at Dabo Swinney and Clemson saying, hey, maybe Dabo and Clemson were right all along in terms of how to manage this new era of college football. You don't see that stuff going on with this Clemson program. And I think it starts with, hey, we're going to make sure we're recruiting the right guys to our program. And I think it's paying off for Clemson. It might have not paid off short term. In the short term, there were some teams that really capitalized on the transfer portal. But I think long term, Clemson might come out one of the bigger winners in the country. We'll see how it plays out. A lot more commitments, I think, coming down the pipeline. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.